Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The New World. And in today's video, after yet another international player came home with the MVP trophy in the NBA, there's been a big question surrounding the NBA as far as who rules the basketball world. Now, for the past 7 consecutive years, an international player has won an MVP, and the last American-born player to win was James Harden in the 2018-19 NBA season. Now, with the international popularity also came the idea from fans and even foreign players to have a World versus US All-Star game, as it has been said multiple times that international players have the edge over the American-born players. Now, before we hop into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and help us on the road to 10K subs. Turn on those notifications to stay tuned for more content, and comment if you think the American-born or international-born players rule the league now. Now, fellas, regarding the talent of players, do you feel like international-born players have the advantage, and do you see American-born players taking back the throne anytime soon? As well as, who do you think might be the next American-born player to win an MVP?
Let's start with the last one first. I'm gonna throw out Cade Cunningham. I think Cade, in terms of American-born talent, a lot of it has to do with, of course, he's a very talented player, but he has the personality. He's not one of these guys that takes himself super seriously. He's not fixated on his brand and on his image. He's not trying to be one of these quote unquote charismatic people that, are getting deemed the moniker of face of the league that is just very overrated. He doesn't fit into that mold. He just takes his lunch pail to work every single day and is focusing on his craft and continual improvement to get better. So that's the person I would throw out there from an American standpoint that could be that could win an MVP. He averaged like 26 points and 8 assists, and on a team that's on the up and up with the Detroit Pistons, young talent, because in order to win MVP, you also got to win a lot of basketball games. So that means that the talent on your team has to be good enough. So I'm going to throw him out there. I know other niggas are throwing out guys like Anthony Edwards. I'm just not seeing it. I'm not a fan. But Jay, you mentioned, have the international players yes, they've taken over. An American-born player hasn't won the MVP since James Harden. So you got Giannis back-to-back, Jokic, Embiid, SGA, like dog. They've taken it over. And if we want to talk about just the top 5 guys in the league, you can probably say that they're just strictly international. You got Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Embiid, Luka. Like, if everybody's healthy, those are like the top 5. Just facts.
So everybody healthy with Embiid. I don't know if that brother's gonna be the same.
Well, you can take him out, but I mean, look at the majority. The majority. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think a lot of this has to do with AAU culture. Has to do with AAU culture because if we just look at development, these guys are not being developed. These guys are not. You guys, when I see just a bunch of guys that if they're over 6'10", they just behind the 3-point line all day. Niggas don't know how to post up. Niggas don't even know how to play off the ball. Like, being able to play off the ball is becoming an issue. And what that shows to me is when we get to the postseason, you got guys that all they know how to do is go ISO. So when the team gets to fixate and lock in on you for 7 games and develop a game plan for you, guys don't know how to break things like zones. They don't know how to break a zone. They don't know how to break double teams. These are just concepts that they don't know how to break, and a lot of it's because they're not getting developed in high school because all they're doing is playing with a bunch of different guys, going ISO in these AAU tournaments. Then if they do go to college, they're just one and done. That, in my opinion, is not enough because they basically need to be broken down fundamentally because their fundamentals are off. So they're just structural things that from an American standpoint are off. And then we don't even want to get into the fact that niggas in high school got millions of social media followers. I just feel like that's not a good thing. Those guys over there overseas, niggas in the trenches getting about the mud. Like, they're really getting about the mud. They're being coached harshly. So that just translates to when they get to the pros, they can take good coaching. These American guys don't want to be coached. They don't want to be coached. They get critiqued in any type of way, then they want to get the coach fired. So now these coaches have gotten soft because they just want to keep their job. So they don't care about the development. They're just doing whatever they can to get a bunch of talent on their teams so they can win a lot of games and keep their jobs. So I'm just going to start it right there and, see what you guys think about that, because I feel like that is really the overarching issue with why there's just a complete disparity between international talent and American talent. And then what's going on now? NBA is starting to put leagues in Europe, put leagues in Africa, which means what? We're going to start to see more developing talent, because I feel like that's why we don't have even more international talents, because we just haven't seen them yet. So now we're going to have more teams that are going to be doing searching in other continents and other regions. And then it's going to really get bad. Because if we just look at the American-born players right now that are the quote-unquote stars, they're not that impressive to me. You got what? LaMelo Ball, John Morant, like De'Aaron Fox, like these guys are just not that impressive to me, bro. They just aren't. We're comparing
all NBA first thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, who else is out there though? Who else is out there, dog?
It should have been Cade to see that first.
Evan Mobley's talented. I like Evan Mobley. I like
Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley is talented.
Bro. I mean, Cleveland, honestly, like even if you look back at that Pacers series, they didn't even incorporate him, right?
Okay, so give your take. So have the international players taken over?
Look,
absolutely.
I think the international players have taken over. I think this is going to be marked by the international decade if you just look at the MVPs. Now, I will say this, though. This is actually good for the sport. I think this is really good for the sport because it extends everybody to have their eyes on the NBA. We know the NBA album server, they like that international expansion. So this is ultimately good for the sport. I will say this, it is also a faulting of the AAU culture. Like the system that, is kind of embroidered with these guys. They wake up and play at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And because I remember I used to do it. I used to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then, a lot of these guys, since they're so good, they're on multiple. So they're playing for other teams. They're not really building a, connection with most of these guys. And that's why kind of the international guys, they kind of have a little better IQ. And also, they are playing, less years in college. So they're getting less development. So that is also one thing. Also, you should look at the social media insight in these guys. Ball is life has really been bad to all these teenagers and shit. All these guys, they just want to do a jelly layup or some shit. And they look at the camera and then they're like, filet. They do all for the camera, for recruiters to come in and watch. And niggas aren't impressed by this shit because you see these niggas like Isaiah Washington, you see these niggas like Javon Quinterly, they get to the college level. Mikey Williams, that's a crazy pull. Mikey Williams, they get to the college level and they can't even play they can't even beat a zone. Because most colleges they just run zone. They run zone or they run man, but the floor is so condensed. So it allows more 3-point shooting because the paint is so clogged. But these guys, they don't excel. So that's also one thing. NBA players, you also gotta look at it from the NBA development standpoint. Because these guys, they have similar talent outputs than these international guys, but when they get to the league, their development kind of plummets. You look at guys like Jalen Green. He has not really improved that much over the years. And I'm surprised he's not Houston's not using him as leverage to get a big piece because they're trying to keep him for whatever reason. But I don't think does anybody on this panel really think that Jalen Green is going to change? You really think he's going to get really better?
No, he was doing that in the G League. No.
So no, I don't think so. I think the situation is kind of multifaceted. It's definitely I wouldn't say it's a problem necessarily, but it's something that the NBA kind of needs to have I don't know, more insight about because they're trying to push these American guys. It really doesn't make sense to me because it's okay, if you're trying to expand, why not push the international guys as much as you're pushing the American guys? Because we already know the NBA, they're gonna become so big in America where America already has its own kind of American sport, which is American football. So it's they're gonna be so big in America. Why not push it to other countries? And they got all these players, but they don't really market these guys. Now I don't know if these guys don't have risk because every time I hop on social media and I say the NBA needs to market guys, I get people saying, "Hey, well, these guys they don't have no charisma." Like Nikola Jokic, he has a little nonchalant gimmick, where he doesn't like winning or whatever. Remember, Jokic says the shit about the horses. He wasn't really NBA is a job to him. And you look at guys like SGA, SGA, the nigga was laying down pre-game So it's like, these guys, they don't really take it as serious. And I know international, he's more North America. So he's more like, Canada, but still, he kind of fits in the category. So, yeah, this is a multifaceted issue. Adam Silver definitely needs to, have an eye out for this because the guys they're pushing, they aren't really, they haven't really panned out yet. And I think they missed multiple years of pushing the Joel Embiids, the Giannis Antetokounmpos, the Nikola Jokic's, all these guys. These guys are 30 now. Like they're 30. They spend so much time on the LeBron James generation. So yeah, that's that. I do think the next MVP, I think it could be either Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is a really good candidate. Anthony Edwards, he's probably gonna be in the running for it. Because I think he was like 8th MVP vote this year. So he's probably gonna be, up there years down the line. Depends on how he improves. Now the brother's only like 23, so he has potential. But it's kind of more of a mental game than him. Evan Mobley, I think, is a really good player. I don't know. I like Evan Mobley, man. Nigga, I ain't gonna lie. I can see his ceiling being like Kevin Garnett, bro. Like he's talented, bro. He's talented. I think with Evan Mobley, he needs to get some weight on him because he's too frail. Even though he's an outstanding defender, and then he needs to get that handle right because he can't really dribble effectively. So to get that shot freed up, because I think he's Cleveland's best player. Like I think Doc Mitchell.
We returning with the Kevin Garnett comps. Next thing you gonna say Tim Duncan? Damn.
Well, I think he's like he's kind of built more like Kevin Garnett. He's already an outstanding defender. He won Defensive Player of the Year, so I think that's where his ceiling could go. Now, is he going to reset ceiling? Probably not. It's a kind of a low percentage, but I don't think it's really crazy to say that. I mean, the dude won Defensive Player of the Year, and he was All NBA second team. So the brother is talented. Looking at some other guys.
Well, I think that the coaching is going to have to unlock him 2.0. I know that's what we were saying. Kenny Atkinson, he unlocked Evan Mobley, but there's another layer that got. I think that I feel you, but I think that coaching has to take a step because what they got to do is they got to figure out what they're going to do about Donovan Mitchell. Something needs to be a real conversation needs to be had about Donovan. Look, you put up a lot of empty calorie stats. You score 40 even when we lose in the postseason. We need to move on to Evan Mobley, but is that going to be an ego hit to a guy like Donovan Mitchell, or do they need to move on from him?
I don't think it's necessarily bad. Donovan Mitchell, to me, he's not really a first option on the championship.
He's not.
I don't really think it's going to be that crazy to even lose out on a guy like that. I think they also probably get rid of Garland too, because Garland was good in the regular season, but he drops off playoffs because of the physical defense. Kind of takes a toll on his frail body. So they got a lot of moves to make.
But I think if he's like a third option, if he's just like a strictly a rudimentary point guard.
But the problem with how the Cleveland Cavaliers are centered is that they're heavily based on their guard play. So Darius Garland initiated most of the offense. So he's kind of like the second or even like the first most creator on the team. So that kind of wears out. And then, he's a small guard, so he get injuries. So even when he got the foot injury, he couldn't really excel as he could against the Pacers. So outside of those, like LaMelo, I don't think LaMelo Ball has potential. Tyrese Halliburton has been balling. Can't say any more about the brother that hasn't already been said yet. The brother is clutch. I think he's like 12 or 13 on go-ahead shots in like the last like 15 seconds or some shit like that. So the brother is crazy. He's crazy. And Indiana Pacers have had like the best offense in the postseason. So that's also something. So the options are a little weird, but with them getting Cooper Flag and a lot more draft talent, I think they can definitely use some of these players in like better roles. Like Cooper Flag, he's going to a solid team. Like for the number one pick, it's not like he's going to 3-4 years before they get him like any help. To a solid team. So that's kind of how I look at things.
Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and answer the second question. I think we'll continue to see like Jason Tatum as far as those MVP votes, but I don't think he'll necessarily I don't think he'll get it because he's got to compete against Giannis. He's got to compete against Giannis and Jokic every year. So,
But
that's
Jay,
the
the
problem.
biggest thing is that his ass is going to be out of commission for a whole year. Ruptured Achilles.
Oh yeah, I think he'll be fine with the Achilles because not only is it
That's
on
Man,
easy
his
to say.
non-jumping, it's
yeah,
on
it's
his
not easy to say. He's not like a
non-jumping.
player like Kevin Durant who relies on his jump shot and kind of his frame. He's
I
a perimeter
mean,
or
he
player.
takes a high volume of threes, so I don't think he'll
Yeah, but
necessarily.
he's
I don't
not
think
really
it'll hurt his
efficient at
game too much
it.
though. Yeah, he's not
Like he's
efficient at it,
not
but I don't think it necessarily hurt his game too much. So I don't think he'll like regress like really really bad.
And also another
But
thing about Kevin Durant is it just speaks to how great he is, but he did regress. Like Kevin Durant,
oh yeah,
Golden State is a different player than Brooklyn and early Phoenix. Like he's a different player. So Jason Tatum is gonna regress. So he's gonna be worse than what he is now. The last time we saw him, and he's gonna be a year and a half older.
He's gonna have to develop his post game and kind of his perimeter game, because he's been one of the best finishers in the league last couple seasons. Even though like in the playoffs, I don't know what happens. Like his efficiency drops off. But as far as efficiency to the cup, he's been one of the best players. I remember like last year or this year, he was really really great. So that's going to be something. But yeah, he's going to have to develop that post game because that athleticism that comes out of that ruptured Achilles, because people get it like confused. It's not torn. A torn is like partial tear. It may be like torn, but like it's ruptured. Like the whole thing is off. So it's not like a torn Achilles. Like like he's gonna be out for the entire year. I remember some people were saying, well, maybe Boston might have him back for next. No, like no, he's out for the year. He's out for the year. Like it's gonna take him a long time to recover because he gotta go through rehab, and that stuff takes like a long process. So yeah, he's gonna have to develop his game because the whole like between the legs, side step three, that's not going to work really after the Achilles. He's not going to be able to blow by his man as much. And I think athleticism like that works more for Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant didn't really rely on that. Now, yeah, he definitely wasn't as good as he was. And OKC, OKC is like a different Kevin Durant than even like Golden State because he suffered the injury with I think it was his ankle in 2015. And
Foot. He had the Jonesboro
yeah,
injury.
yeah. If you see, he never really was the same player athletically. Even on the Warriors. So those injuries do take a toll on you. You're never fully the same. So he's definitely got to recover in those areas. That's why I think Jay.
y'all probably gonna laugh at this one, but we might see. You could possibly see Paolo Banchero in there, but I think it'll have to be if Franz Wagner is not on the team though. Like that'll probably be the only way we
is
see that.
Is that what
name.
the United States has come to? We're taking Paulo Banchero. I mean, you can take.
I mean, he's like one of the best American. He's like one of the best American-born players now. But I think this is like Buff said, this will be the international players era. I think we'll continue to see Jokic in the MVP combos, SGA of course. We'll probably most likely see Luka and Giannis, but these international players. I mean, they've been taking over. Like it's clear to see. We've clearly seen that Adam Silver doesn't necessarily want one of them to be the face of the league because he would have been made that decision some years ago with Jokic and Giannis, and even you could say Luka too. Like when he was first in the league and he was actually looking athletic and stuff, and he was big broing the Clippers and stuff like that. But I think it's easy to say that the international players. They're just better developed than these American-born players because you can go back and look at AAU. A lot of these international-born players, they start off playing, pro, especially the Europeans. They start off playing pro at a really young age, so they're learning the fundamentals at a young age in the team ball, and then by the time they're grown and older, they look, really good. And I like how Gilbert Arenas put it as that they're Swiss Army knives. So they can do a lot of things and not just one thing. And then you look at AU as far as American-born players, a lot of it is like it's just flashy. And you see all these guys, they'll be on these different teams. They'll be on this team one time, then the next team somewhere else. And then it'll look all flashy in high school and all that. But by the time they go to college, you be like, dang, he was just looking crazy like that in, high school. What happened? And then, even if they do, look pretty good in college enough to get them to the NBA, they don't really know the game like that because they can't play, the team ball and all that. And then they got to go to the G League and get more developed. So they wasted more time. And that's why I think it should be an emphasis as far as for American-born players. There should be a restriction as far as when they should come out of college. That's why we see a lot of football players, they look really good after they come out of college because they have to play a certain amount of years. Now, I know that's different because they're playing football and they'll be like 18 going up against grown-ass men. But still, in the NBA, you can say the same thing. Like, even though they 18, 19 and they're raw and they look like their potential is really high, they still got to have some basketball knowledge and they still got to know how to read a defense or play in certain, systems like that and know how to move the ball and all that. They shouldn't just go out the draft just because they look like they could be like, oh, the next LeBron, the next KD and all that. We can't just keep doing that for the American-born players because international players will continue to take over. Like, Wemby, once he gets back into the league, we're probably going to see Wemby rack up a couple of MVPs. And shoot, Wemby got a brother that's on the way too. So we got that to look forward to. Like these international players are coming. And then you see Adam Silver, he's looking at, he's looking internationally to play NBA games. So, and he's looking to have potentially a NBA version EuroLeague. So he's obviously looking at how good, the international players are doing for the NBA and how they're looking and the development. So honestly, if people want American-born players to be back on top, because obviously there's always a lot more hate towards the, international players more than the NBA players. And we're definitely seeing that now. As far as looking at SGA and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, he had before this series, he only had he had a conference finals appearance, and all of a sudden, he's the face of the league just because he looks a little bit like Michael Jordan, and he acts like him in certain instances, and he can jump like him, and he was called face of the league and all that, and everybody was just they were highlighting this man. They were like, oh, he's finna do really good for the league and all that. And then, you turn around and look at the NBA season and you can say it was a bit of disappointment for the team success that he had. And as far as like him overall, he started off the season very slow and then he started to pick it up and then he led the league in threes, but he only finished averaging like 2 more points than he did the season before that. And then you look at SGA, he's on this young team that a lot of people say can go to the finals, but a lot of people don't believe in him because they're young and nobody likes his game because they say he's a free throw merchant. And really constantly throughout the season, they don't see face of the league, but they see it in this American-born player because they want it in the American-born player. And we can clearly see that because the commissioner wants an American-born player, but he can't make his mind up on who he wants because he could have chose Tatum a while ago, but he didn't choose Tatum.
I think he's made up his mind on who he's wanted. Him and they want Anthony Edwards. That they've made it clear and apparent that they want him, and that's what I've been just kind of telling people. I've just been saying I don't think. What was that?
So they want Wemby.
Oh yeah, he did. I don't know though, but
bro. Well, how about this? Adam Silver, he wants either one of those guys. NBA media wants Anthony Edwards. They've made up their mind on who they want. And I think that they're getting a little nervous that he may not be him. Because what people continue to tell me is that it's age. As Jay has mentioned, as Buff has mentioned, it's mainly a mental thing with him. And when I'm thinking mental, maturity, we're seeing this with Luka Doncic. Age, just because you get older doesn't mean you're going to be more mature. Doesn't mean that your attitude is going to improve. Also, age doesn't mean that your mental acuity is going to improve, because I see IQ problems with Anthony Edwards as well that I don't know can just be resolved like that. Maybe it's because they need another voice in the locker room to help him out a little bit. I don't know. But when I'm looking at his game, I see flaws that are more kind of head scratching from that regard. I think he needs to improve on how he's reading defenses. I think that's where he's not that great. His off-ball game is not good. He doesn't know how to play off the ball. When you're a guard, when you're a wing player, you got to be able to improve off the ball, especially if you're not that efficient. So there are things like when I see him that I'm just like, no. And I think that if they wanted, and you guys have kind of alluded to this, if they wanted an international player to be the face, they could easily do that. Like, they could have easily made Giannis the face what they wanted to. He has quote unquote charisma. They could have easily made SGA the face. In my opinion, niggas talk about aura. I don't really know what they mean by that. I guess they mean just by like trash talking and stuff, because if we just look at social media, SGA clearly got aura. Like, we've nicknamed him Aura Man on this platform. Like, he got it. But maybe it's because he's in Oklahoma City, which is like outside of Memphis, the smallest market in the league. I don't know, but they could easily make that brother the face if they wanted to. He got it. Kobe, like, their personalities, him and Kobe, very, very similar. And he's probably a lesser tier athlete than Kobe, but he's more efficient. But they basically play the same way. As Jay said, I've been watching a lot of film from this guy, and there's a video. There are 10, 15, 20-minute videos of him and Kobe film side by side, and it's the exact same. It literally is the same shit. So you can make that dude the face if you wanted to. They made up their minds. Stephen A and these guys have made up their minds. They want to be Ant. And it said that he doesn't want to be the face. They said, we don't care. You are going to be the face. They made up their minds. I want to let this shit play out. I want to let it play out because I don't think that the guy's that great. Like I said, there are some other options. They had the opportunity to do it with Tatum. They decided not to. You got guys like Cade. You know, maybe Cooper Flag is the white hope that they want to bring into the fold. So they got options. But right now, their option is Anthony Edwards. And I don't think he's good enough. I don't. Because he's 23. You said what?
You don't think he's good enough for his age?
Sure, maybe. But, like, I mean, I think he's good for his age. But, like, it's year 5. It's year 5. And he averaged 27 points per game this year on, like, 44% shooting.
Yeah, he averaged 28. He averaged like 28.
On 44% shooting, that's cool. I don't think that's face of the league, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is, his true shooting is high because he shot like 39, 47, 3. So it's really, if you take that into play, but he's still not there. He's still really not that good from the free throw line. I don't understand this shit. It's like you can shoot good from 3, but you're not a good free throw shooter.
I can't believe when I heard, I forgot, I don't know who said it, but when I heard that in the Warriors series, they said that he put so much emphasis, like that really just sits in my mind, that he put more emphasis on his threes that he forgot how to do the other things, like the finishing, and like it doesn't.
Basketball IQ, see, Buffy.
It also will show how talented the brother is, because it's like
yeah, like,
not gonna lie, he was not a good 3-point shooter last year. Disney comes out and he's leading the league in 3-pointers next season. So it's like he's got a lot of talent and potential. Now, I don't think he's there mentally to kind of, take advantage of all that. And I think that's where the problem lies. And I think he's really, really great physically, but he's kind of missing something on top.
Yeah, like, honestly, for the fact that him showing that he can improve his three percentage like that, it shows that he can be like an all-around player, because we can see he's athletic, he can finish, and we can see him play good defense. So he's just got to figure out how to put it all together and put it in one basket instead of, focus on one thing and then kind of forget how to do the other. Because if you want to be, this great of a player, and you want to, lead your team to this and do all these great things for Minnesota, you're going to have to be able to do all those things at once instead of just, emphasizing one thing and limiting the other. So that goes to play with the international thing. Like I was saying, like the Swiss Army knives, they can do multiple things at a really good level. Now, of course, we can say differently for Luka, and how Bardo was saying that as he got older, we don't really see him caring about changing his or improving on defense. Not necessarily you got to be a lead defender, but the effort
on attitude, like that. That's what I'm saying.
Attitude,
because we were saying the same stuff with Luka. We were like, he's young. They went to the finals last year. He's young, but we're not seeing growth. I feel like Anthony Edwards, from a mental standpoint, he could kind of fall down a similar path. We got to stop just assuming that because guys are young, that means that they're going to grow. When the problems in their game are things that have to be focused on from upstairs. Like the physicals, like, okay, we can say, like last year, we could have said Anthony Edwards needs to improve his 3-point shooting. He's done that. That's cool. He's still back in the Western Conference Finals. Where does the real growth come to play? I'm thinking about things like his basketball IQ, his play style, his leadership. Those are things that takes a little bit more than just I'm going to be in the gym all day to work on. That's where I'm just like, okay, I think that if he makes those strides, he could be the face. He could be a top 3, maybe best player in the league. Like if he were to improve his efficiency, his off-ball game, and his leadership, he probably would be averaging 30 points per game on like 50% shooting like a SGA. He has that type of talent. But it takes a little bit more to develop that. Like my thing is he going to develop that? Because I think that's what he would need to do in order to be what we think that he can be.
Yeah, I think it's just he'll have to have a certain somebody in his circle to, guide him and show him, or honestly just tell him like, dude, you got to do these certain things.
Like,
and
who is that?
I don't know. Honestly, if I was him,
I don't know.
If I was him, I'd be hitting up, MJ, because if MJ likes your game and he thinks you like that, he'll want to.
He gonna hit up his long lost father to ask him if he gonna.
I would hit up MJ to tell me, how can I like mold my game into doing all these good things.
You think he's gonna do that when all he does is talk about how bad the.
Oh yeah, he does bash. He does bash the 90s. So I doubt they might not even take him back.
He didn't make a point guard. Mike Conley, he's past it.
I mean, they got Shift Man Dillingham, but they don't want to use him.
They're not playing him. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I saw people talking about like he got to work on his jump shot and the weight, but he did. Rob Dillingham did change his jump shot, but he do got to put on some weight though.
Cam Payne is getting playoff minutes in the big 2025 NBA playoffs. Rob Dillingham has gone deep. Has he even played a playoff game?
No, well, at first when I looked it up, he had like an ankle injury. Like when I watched, I think it was during the Lakers series. I had looked. He had an ankle.
He's not hurt.
I'm pretty sure by now.
Like he doesn't play.
Yeah, they really don't want to use him. They just
kind of like the Dalton Connect stuff. Like he's a rookie coach,
and he is small. So I really want to throw Rob Dillingham out there right now. But I do got a question for y'all.
Like when I say that Anthony Edwards needs a point guard, y'all like y'all be like, well, they draft Rob Dillingham. They don't play him, so it's like
yeah. I mean, I've been trying to figure that out the entire season. So I don't know. Chris Finch sometimes he be making some questionable decisions. But I do got a question though. So we know how. This 2010s, and that's up for debate. They say it's the LeBron era, but really, it really looked more like the Curry era. By the time the 2020s are over, whose era will this be?
I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say it's gonna be SGA's era, and that's not me being prisoner of the moment. I just think that the Oklahoma City Thunder have the type of team and have the type of because I was talking to one of my friends at work about this. Think about the draft picks that they got in the backlog. Think about how they could potentially, if like let's say that if they don't have to necessarily repeat, because we're just talking about the 2020s. Let's say that they lose next year in disappointing fashion. They could wait on paying a J-Dub or paying a Chet and move one of those pieces depending on how things go. Like they have pieces that they can move. They got young talent. And they, as of now, currently constructed, they got like an all-time great defense. So, and then of course you got the player that's transcendent talent. Like you got that at the top. So like the Nuggets, they were a veteran team. So like they had guys on expiring contracts, 1-year deals, and they also had guys that were old. Okay, let's go to other team. Go State Warriors. They're done. They're done. They were aged. They're ancient. So
Houston Rockets.
They're too young. And Jalen Green has to be moved. He just ain't good enough. He's not good enough.
They don't want to decide on who their first option is, man.
But think about it. Like all of these teams that have won in recent memory, they haven't been young teams. Or you had the Boston Celtics who were kind of young, but a little bit old. Like those guys were like 20, like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, 27, 28. But a lot of people had them favored to win a championship this year. So I think that like OKC has the youth, the age, and they also got picks. They got picks that they can move if they want to get more talent. Let's say if they don't win next year. So I'm going to go out and say that it could potentially be them. But I could also see a scenario where every other year it's a different person winning. So like if I just had to choose, I would say the Oklahoma City Thunder could be that team.
That's understandable. I'm trying to see because the talent is spread so far with the NBA nowadays. It's like not really that many super teams, if any. Because I can't even call the Boston Celtics a super team. Even their team this year, I don't think they was as good as they were last year. Like last year they had a super team. Like they were legit better than everybody. But this year not so much. Like I know the names sound good, like Kristaps Porzingis. Even though, like I have to say, does Kristaps Porzingis have AIDS?
Bro, I mean, everybody been saying that, bro. I'm gonna say it's like man, the Celtics they know what type of illness he got. They just don't want to disclose it. But that's kind of making it look even worse too. The fact that they ain't saying who it is because they saying it's like an undisclosed illness that they can't figure out what it is.
So this nigga been on the injury report for illness for the longest for like my.
And then he one, it's like he can't breathe or this or that, or he can't be out on the floor. Like I ain't gonna lie, it's looking bad, bro. Or whatever it is, it's looking bad.
Like this I don't know why they're talking about this. Like
I don't know. Don't nobody want to talk about it because it might be bad.
It might be true.
I don't know. It might be, bro.
Bro, if
that's crazy.
Basketball, bro, nobody's blaming you. So I feel like that needs to be answered. Like, can we get a report on that? Because I've been looking at Celtics.
I need a leak. I need a leak.
Has been saying that like this Kendrick, like this Kristaps Porzingis injury has been like unknown. Nobody's talking about it. So I'm gonna need that to be answered.
I need somebody to leak that.
Yeah, but yeah, I ain't
gonna lie. That would be a bombshell if that was true.
that would be funny, bro. But honestly,
kind of know that like he does. I kind of think he does. But
man, whatever it is, the Celtics the Celtics know it already. They just don't want to disclose that information. But I like what Bardo said. You know, a lot of people probably would say Jokic, but if he just ends up winning like one ring, which it kind of looks like he is only going to end up winning one ring throughout this decade. So I think OKC has a better chance of, it being their era, and it'll be, SGA's era because, now he's really just taking over as far as the 2020s. And, we can clearly tell that he's going to consistently continue to do that. And then we see Sam Presti, his mind, he'll continue to have, really good picks. And it doesn't seem like Mark Dagnall is going to go anywhere. So it actually look like we'll have, coach of the year that actually stays on his team for a good amount of time. As we seen with like Steve Kerr, he's like probably like the last one that we can say was a coach of the year that's actually stayed on his team for, a good amount of years instead of getting, booted after like the third season, like after they won a ring or something like that. So I think that's really good to say that this will be like SGA and OKC's era. We can kind of see that they might have a similar approach to Curry and the Warriors, and they just take over. So I like that.
I'm also
this era is going to be like the 1970s where nobody wins more than two. You feel me?
It could be that where it's just every other year somebody else's. Yeah, but I mean, either way, it'll still be like the international players era though. Like for sure,
I definitely agree. But it'll international players era. Like if it goes like that, like it depends who's ever the first to get two. I think that's going to dictate whose era it is. But if nobody gets two, it's going to go back to who's the best player. Like kind of how the 70s did. And it was like, okay, the 70s, it was Kareem. So like, we're probably going to say Jokic. So like, I think it goes off of, to be honest.